Aloha and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Got Your Six podcast. This six-question podcast brings together high performers to share their methods, strategies, and ideas, delivered in an informative and, most importantly, actionable way that'll help you lead yourself and those around you from the battlefield to the boardroom. Coming to you every episode, I'm your host, Tony Nash. And into the breach.
Nothing mentioned on this podcast is an endorsement or opinion of the Department of Defense.
I got your six, we got your back. Got your six, we got your back. Got your six, we got your back. I got your six.
As I said, this is just an incredible episode. Dee and I have known each other 10 years. We've talked to her bio. Let's talk to Dee. Dee, what's going on? Thank you again for being here. Be part of the
so happy
community.
To be here. Happy to be here. It's so cool to see how successful you've made this podcast, though. Just listening to the episodes, like blown away by you, man.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. It's because I have great guests and I just do my best not to handicap them. But no, seriously, that's a genuine compliment. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
so you're so close to transitioning out of the military. I think you're the closest guest we've had so far, which is something that's really cool.
It's different. You know, I mean, I was planning on transitioning out normally, like regular UQR, but I just so happens that I got injured in an unfortunate way and went through the medical process, which I had no idea how that even worked until going through it myself. And it's been a roller coaster of emotions and just waiting. You just wait a lot. A lot of it's like kind of has their fate in their hands and you're just waiting to hear what they have to tell you.
Yeah.
Excited because should be out soon. Couple, like a few more weeks and I'll be on terminal leave. It's gonna be great.
One chapter ends, another chapter begins.
Yeah, because I have a lot of goals for this coming year in terms of career, life changes. It's gonna be interesting, but also exciting. So I'm pretty,
And a lot of people resonate with that, right? Like that it's hard being in that transition pace because you're like done.
Yeah.
You want to get to the next thing, but now you're kind of like in the middle.
Well, it's scary too, because you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? There's been a lot of, I want to get a job or if I'm just going to wait to start school. I actually talked to a friend a little bit ago and he was like, I could get you a consulting job. I'm like, hey, maybe, but kind of want to see what happens. I don't want to like rush into anything. I kind of want to enjoy not having a commitment for like just a little bit where you're like, I get to do whatever I want with my day to day. I don't have to tell anyone where I am. I don't have to show up any place unless I want to. That's going to be cool. But I feel like it's going to be weird because I'm used to a schedule. So it's going to be weird.
Speaking of schedule, which is synonymous with what we do in the military, right? You're at this point where you really have to embrace that white space, like you said, and then also find what's meaningful to you. So as you reflect on your time in the military, as it comes up, is there something that you've continued to implement every day that's become so?
My biggest thing is, I have to have a routine. That's number one. I have to get up every day at the same time because if I let even my sleeping in days, I will get up by 7. I'm like, that's my sleep in time. 7:30 max. I can't really sleep in later than that anyways because my body doesn't let me. But I'm like every day I tell myself, oh, you're gonna get, and then you're gonna drink your cup of coffee, and then you're gonna start your day, and you're gonna do like what you planned. I'm like a big planner when it comes to like daily activities. When I go on vacation, total different person. I'm like, let's do whatever. But if I like my daily routine, I have to have the next day. That's including like meals, like what I'm intaking in my body, when I'm training. Like usually I'm like, okay, I'm training at this time tomorrow, and I'm going to make it fit into my schedule, that kind of a thing. But my other biggest thing that I've taken from the military is I hate being late. And I think punctuality is like super important. And it just kind of is like a respect thing. Like if you respect someone, you're respecting their time and you're going to respect like the time that they set for something and you're not going to be late. I have friends that are always late and like, I know that's who they are and it's fine. And I love them still, but I'm always the person that shows up 10 to 15 minutes early because it like stresses me out knowing I'm going to be late. Like the build up to some type of event, whether it's a dinner, it could be coffee. Hey, meet me for coffee at 2. I'm going to be here at 1:50, ready, probably already have your coffee waiting for you. Like, that's the kind of person I am. And I feel like it kind of tells you a lot about someone if they value your time enough too. Like, if they're going to show up on time, or that's their way of showing that they value you. So that's like my biggest thing. And I'll never change. I don't think that'll ever change for me. So
did that come from a specific time in the military, or is it just?
It's actually funny because my mom is the complete opposite. And I grew up with running late, and it always stressed me out. And my dad is we have to be on time. We have to be on time. My mom is like, it's like the Italian time, we call it, because her whole family's Italian. So she's pretty funny. She's just like, hey, we'll just get there, Like, she says she's going to be on time, never on time. And I love the woman. She's the best. But I'm like, Mom, we got to go. We got to get there. And then when I went to West Point, that was like, I was so sketched about West Point because I didn't know what it was going to be like. But then the schedule and the regime was like, oh, I can do this. I have to be here at this time. And you're like, I mean, you ran around West Point when you're trying to get to classes, essentially, right? Because you're like, I can't be late, otherwise I'm going to get in trouble. So it just made it a bigger thing for me. Like, I was like, I have to be on time. It's like you're penalized if you're on time, if you're not on time, or if you're not early, right?
Right.
So I think it's just ingrained in me now. And my husband is like the total. He doesn't care, and he's in the Air Force, but he's like, whatever. I'm like, oh my God, hurry up, get dressed. We got to go. We got to be there.
Now, so those people like your mom, your husband, those friends, and I think we're not going to say who they are, but we know who they are.
Yeah.
Do you have them come, give them an earlier time, or?
Oh yeah, that's
okay.
Yep, 100%. So I actually just went to a wedding a couple months ago, and like, we literally have a friend that's always like she's always late. She's going to be late. So we actually told her the time was like an hour earlier. And so she was actually on time. And she had no idea. She's like, oh, look, we're on time, guys. We're like, yeah, because we told you it was 45 minutes earlier than it actually was. And then she made it. So but I'm never that person. I'm the one that's like, let's go. Like, if you have to get ready in the car, get ready in the car, but we got to go. So I'm always going to be that person too. I'm never stresses me out so much.
Right. No, that's like a pillar. When I think of Dee Clegg, that is a pillar, right? Like, the punctuality is there. So as you've started to reflect on your time, West Point, in the military, being on the first iteration of the U.S. Army fitness team, which in and of itself is just an incredible, cool thing. Have you started to look at like a skill or ability that you've picked up, you're looking to learn, or you want to kind of grow?
So actually, I have been trying to develop my listening skills. And that means being an active listener, like, always, right? So like, I've always been one of those people that's very good at reading comprehension. Like, I can read something and like adapt, like understand it instantly. But I was never really like a verbal listener, like learner. It was hard for me to just like grasp what someone was saying. So, and then also I have selective hearing. So I will also just shut my ears off sometimes and like block people out when I don't want to listen to them. So I've actually been trying to work at being like way more of an active listener with relationships. And then in like the learning process as well, I've been like, I listen to a lot of podcasts because it's actually been helping me. And like audiobooks has been such a huge thing for me because it's being able to listen and grasp the material, but also with podcasts. Like, I've just been loving podcasts because it's like you can have it on in the background, but then you're still like picking up on it. And I'm trying to like still get that where I'm really engaged with what's going on in that background noise. So I'm not always like turning people off. Because I realized I was doing that a lot. Like, I would just ignore people unintentionally, or I wouldn't pick up on everything they were saying. So I'd miss like important pieces of something they were trying to like divulge to me. And I'm like, oh man, I really need to be way more of an active listener. So that's been my biggest thing going forward. Especially like going into the civilian world, you really have to be an active listener for anyone you want to work with. And anyone that's like, I want to be someone that anyone can reach out to and talk to. And I want to be able to always be engaged with them when they're talking to me and confiding in me. So that's been like my biggest thing. I'm like, I gotta keep working at that. And I pretty much try to work on it every day if I can. So yeah, that's hopefully I keep getting better at it. You know what I mean?
When you say work at it, what specifically are you doing? Like, give us an example of like, so, hey, I'm conscious that someone's talking. I'm paying attention to the words.
Yeah.
Is there like pauses after someone speaks, or like what?
Yeah. So I try not to be the sole speaker either in a conversation. Like my husband like loves me because he doesn't like to talk a lot, and I'm the talker. So sit there on the phone with me and I'll just be chatting it up. And I'm always just like, okay, tell me about your day. And I like try to pull more from him. And I'm like, tell me more, especially because we're not together all the time because he travels a lot for his job. So I really try to get him to bring that out of me too, where I'm just like let's talk about it. Same thing. I talk to my mom like every day. So I pretty much just make sure I actually give her the opportunity to talk to me about whatever is going on, especially because we're planning our wedding. The actual wedding ceremony is in a week. And so she's been like, we need to do this. I'm like, okay, I'm going to make sure I listen to everything she's saying, taking notes on it, know what we have to do when I get there. Like, I don't want to show up and be like, oh my God, Mom, I totally forgot, so just stuff like that. Or I will reach out to friends just so that way I can actually have conversations with people every day. So I'm not, especially not text messages. Like text messaging is cool. It's great. But I'm much more of a phone call conversation person. I love to actually like hear someone talking, and it's just, I feel like it's a closer connection, honestly, than just, hey, I'm going to shoot you a text. Like I love a good phone call. So I've been at least reaching out to more people and being like, hey, what's going on with your life? Tell me about it. So
nice. So you heard it from Dee. She's bringing back the cordless phone. It's gonna be cool again. Just wait for it.
I will answer if you call me. That's the thing. I am not one of those people that's like ignore. I'm like, yo, what's up? You want to talk? I'm here for it.
This is proven. I've called her many a times and she's always picked up. So I can 100% back that statement. So going forward in the next chapter, Dee, right? Like you've had a lot of experience, being a D1 athlete in of itself is a completely like different life than you had in West Point, being in the military, being a high performing athlete in the military, right? Is there some like, I don't know, let's say a book or some like a talk or something that just super like really influenced that drive, that continuing to like be better?
So this was actually something hard for me to pinpoint, but so I'm actually more of a I like to read for enjoyment and pleasure, and I don't really like read a whole lot to gain knowledge from people. I think I'll get there at some point, but I really like pleasure reading, where it's like I can just divulge in a Harry Potter book for like 7 whole books, right? But I think the core, like I use the course concept. When I did the CrossFit level 1 course, I learned so much in that. And it was like just the start of being this athlete, right? That brought me into this new world of competitive fitness, right? I've always been a competitive athlete like that. Literally, I started playing soccer at the age of 4. But when I graduated from West Point, it was like, oh my God, what am I going to do now that I don't have soccer anymore? I need something to like get this energy out, or something I can focus and have a goal on. And I think when I did that course, I did the level 1 and I had 0 CrossFit experience. I just was like, I'm going to check out what this is about. And I learned so much. And I think it drove me to like want to do more. And like, that is essentially what sparked the concept of me. Like I could become a good athlete, but then I could also influence other people with this, right? Like I fell in love with the concept of coaching someone and like learning how to coach, whether it's like, cause I coached soccer for a little bit too. Like I got to coach younger kids. It was super awesome. And I loved that. And I fell in love with the idea of not just training my body, but also training other people and seeing what they can do. And like helping people like get fitter and healthier. I mean, I've done the level 1, I've done the level 2. I started taking a nutrition course because I just wanted to, as much as I could, in terms like how can I help other people, right? Like what can I do to benefit others in a way? And that's actually driving me to do what I want for school. Like I'm obviously, like applying to a physical therapy program because I want to help people. I want to help fix people. I've taken so much of my experience, I think, going into it, because I don't want to just be like a clinical PT that just tells you how like exercise do. I want to like fix people. I want to like bring my own experience with like pain and injury and actually like my athletic background and be like, hey, this is what I think is going to work best for you. And this is what I'm like, I want to be a hands-on person. I want to like help the physical therapy programs, you know, become better in a way, not just like, oh yeah, go do those exercises over there. It's like, we need to be more engaged with people, more hands-on. And I think that started with me learning so much about the basics of CrossFit and how our bodies should be moving in proper form and all of that. And how much more we can do with our bodies if we just move them the right way and engage the right muscles and all of that. So that's like my I think that's kind of where it started, and I'm never gonna like lose that love for CrossFit. But you know, I've obviously switched gears because of the injury. So, but
I had a bet with myself. You were gonna say Harry Potter.
I was gonna bring it up. I was gonna have Harry Potter.
You did,
but I didn't feel like. But I didn't feel like it was an appropriate. I mean, I love Harry Potter. Started reading it when I was 5th grade. It is the best book series of all time, and anyone could fight me over it, and I will win. But
that's true. You will lose in a fight with Dee. No, but
yeah,
it's you're starting to see, right? Like we've already kind of peeled back some of the layers of you already, but it's all the same, right? All these like circles of growth are rooted in core values, right? Punctuality, coaching, active listening. It's all building on itself.
Yeah.
Right. And you talked about pain, right? And being able to mitigate pain for other people.
Yeah.
You've also gone through a little bit of pain, a lot. I mean, pain,
a lot of pain,
right?
A lot
like
of pain.
Failure, pain, right? Like, so
yes.
where?
Oh man, I have a story for my first failure, and I'm actually going to throw it back to West Point because I will attribute this moment to it was a significant life-changing experience for me. I don't know if you remember, but I got a little bit in trouble my sophomore year. For everyone, it would be yuck year if you're a West Pointer, you can recall. I may have gotten a little bit of an alcohol situation where I actually didn't get pinpointed for alcohol, but I definitely did something that was not a good look. And I really let down my team actually because it was during our season, and I stepped down for the remainder of the season. And I worked it out with I had a very emotional conversation with my coach, and she was like, you know what, we're going to have to suspend you for the remainder of the year. And that was probably one of the hardest moments I think I've ever had, because I realized like I had been putting myself first, right? I didn't think of the team before myself. I just wanted to have fun. And it was a super selfish act. And I regretted that. I regretted it instantly. You know what I mean? Like, I knew that I had done something that like my teammates couldn't look at me the same after. They were like, I mean, it's not that I didn't perform well in the game. It's I didn't perform well as an actual human. Like I just let my team down, and that changed me in so many ways. So I had to take that season off, the rest of the season off. I actually joined the track team and made some really great friends who inspired me to be better. And it was kind of like I had to make that mistake to meet these other people that helped influence me going forward, because they helped me kind of circle back into like where my faith was too. I was really being super selfish, and I wasn't even being true to my faith. I joined FCA and like started, the Fellowship of Christ, at West Point. So that was super helpful too. It like totally changed my perspective going forward, and how I could not just be a better person, but how I could be a better teammate. And then it kind of shaped everything for me going into the Army as well. It's like, this isn't about you. It's about the team and what you can do for the country and everything. So it's one of those, it was a huge monumental moment. I didn't know it at the time, but it was something I needed to happen. And it was a failure, but it was also something that like, it was a success overall, because I needed that. I needed that to to become a better person and to to just really like look forward and see what I could do for others. That's kind of shaped me now, because now I'm just like, I want to do things for everyone. I don't like, it's not about me, it's about what I can do for other people. And I think that, that I needed that. So that's my biggest one at West Point. I have other ones, but what
okay. But that's an interesting piece, because you zeroed in on there of like all the different things with like the recent, your injury and coming back from it, right? It was that moment where you zoomed in and be like, almost forced personal accountability. And it took you to be like, I need this to happen. I got this going forward. I know how much this sucked for everyone who believed in me, had faith in me. I had faith in myself, and I let everybody down. And I never want to experience those depths again, because that's not who I am. Like you said.
Yeah, it was really hard, but honestly, it made me a better person going forward. And it actually made me want to stay at West Point more, because I had wanted to leave for a little while, and like going through all of that and realizing that I had a lot of people that were still supportive of me and like wanted me to succeed, do whatever they could to help me succeed. Like I had a really great counselor that like he was one of the athletic, you know what I'm talking about.
Center for Enhanced Performance.
Yes. So he was the best. Dr. Pym, me and him still talk. He is the man. I met with him every week during that time, and he just made me just like, I loved that guy. He brought so much out of me. He was great, and I needed that. So it's made me it's definitely shaped who I am today. And I'm so glad that it happened. Like looking back on it, I'm like, I needed that, because it was like a kick in the ass. Like, what are you doing? Get your shit together. Like, this isn't about you. Stop putting yourself first. So
right.
I needed that. Yeah, it was really great. I mean, it ended up being great.
You need to take ownership of yourself before you can lead others. That's beautifully said, Dee.
Yeah, thank you.
So as we've continued to talk about reflection, right? Because before you go on to the next chapter, right, you want to look you do want to look in the past and say like, hey, this was good. This is bad. This is where we want to kind of improve. This is where we want to sustain. Is there something, let's just look at the last 5 years, right? There's been a lot that's happened in the last 5 years.
Yes.
What has most improved your life? Is there like a new belief or behavior, habit? Go ahead.
It's so cliche to say trust the process, but I've had to really just believe in it, like trust fully in the process. I've had a coach actually the last 5 years who is freaking phenomenal, and he has stuck with me.
Give him a shout out.
Keegan Dillon, you're the best. He's been with me through this from the beginning, since like 2016. He's been coaching me. When I got injured, he knew instantly what to do. It was like, one, emotional support, but two, it was like, what can we do to help my back get stronger, to strengthen everything around it? How are you doing emotionally? Like, it was like check-ins constantly with, hey, how are you feeling? How are you doing? How's this? Like, how's your body feeling? But like, how are you emotionally, mentally, that kind of a thing. And I've never trusted someone so much as I do with him, just because he has been amazing. And like, before it was always like, oh, people say trust the process. Like, you just gotta really buy into it. But like, nobody's ever, it's like one of those, it's like, oh, you just say that to say it. But like this injury, like 100% has made me believe that you really have to, because I literally could not sit. I couldn't drive. I couldn't bend over. I couldn't lift my leg. My nerve pain was so unbearable that I like was stuck laying on the floor on my stomach for days. Literally couldn't do anything. And the first thing was like, we're just going to walk. So I couldn't do anything. I went from squatting 300 plus pounds, deadlifting, over 350, like regularly, to I literally couldn't bend over, and I couldn't like pick anything up off the ground. So I was like, okay, we're just going to walk. And I walked like hours every day, and we were in quarantine. So I was like, it's beautiful outside. It was the summer. I walked every day, at least 5 miles. And it was the only thing that felt good, but it was the only thing that made my back feel good. So it was, and that was all him. He was like, we're just going to walk. And I'm like, all right, cool, let's do it. I didn't bike. I didn't do anything else. I just literally walked. And it's like, it brought me back down to like, okay, I'm going to ground myself and go back to this basic, like where my body needs to kind of build back from. And it was over a course of, 6 months. And then we made the decision that I needed to get surgery, but we did everything we could. I mean, I was feeling better-ish, but I wasn't where I needed to be. And I wasn't in a place where I could live my daily life and I couldn't live with the pain anymore. So that's why we made the decision for surgery. But then since coming back from surgery, it's like my body right now, I think, is actually stronger than it was before. And I have less back muscle. Like my lower back, I lost all the muscle in my low back from atrophy, which is fine. And it's like, I'm trying to come back, but like everything else, like it's amazing what you can do if you just believe in someone and be like, you know what, I'm not going to do all this extra stuff that they, like a lot of people are like, oh, what else can I do? What else can I do? Can I do this on my own? Should I add in these movements? Like if your coach knows what they're doing, they're going to they're going to have a plan for you and what they can do to help you get better. And I like fully trusted him, and I didn't do like any extra crazy shit on my own. I was just like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. Yes, I went to physical therapy, which was, it was somewhat beneficial, but having someone that really knows what they're doing and that cares about you and supports you, like 100% trust in him and his process and what he's going to do for me, because my recovery has been exponentially better than I thought it was going to be. So I have like such high hopes for the future, and knowing that I have this like awesome coach that's always, and a friend. He's not even just my coach. He's like one of my really great friends. He's a great coach to anyone though. Like that's just who he is as a person. He's going to do anything he can to find the best ways to help you. And if he doesn't know how to do it, he's going to find someone that he can get that knowledge from or learn about it. Like that's the kind of I want to, like, I want to get as much information as I can, so that way I can help you in the ways that you need. Right. But, it's cliche to say, but I 100% follow that lifestyle of, hey, trust the process and don't just like, because some people just quit. Some people will quit so easy. Like, oh, this hasn't been working. It's only been a month. Like you can't just give up after a month or say like, oh, it's not working. It's just like nutrition. A lot of people get upset that they haven't lost weight or that the scale has in 3 weeks. Like you have to buy into it and like continue working towards it. You can't just like, hey, it hasn't been working for 3 weeks. It takes a long time. It takes years. I mean, look at me. I injured my back. It's almost been a year and a half, or a year since surgery. It's been a year and a half since I injured my back, and I'm moving a lot better. Yeah, sure. The nerve stuff is still like, but it's so much better than it was. Like, I know that I can at least live my daily life without pain all day. And that's a win. I can function as a normal human, and that's a win. So
what you said about trust the process is something I don't want anybody to overlook, right? Because there's a piece in there that I don't hear discussed ever, but in order to trust the process, there's a contract, and the contract is having expectations. We're going to trust the process for 6 months, a year. It's not a day, a night. Like you can look back and be like, oh, all that success happened overnight. But that expectation you need to have going into the process while you're in the process, because there's an endpoint, and you revisit it and you say, where are we at comparative to? And to have somebody else there, a teammate, a coach, someone who functions as both, like you said, is so powerful, because they help hold you accountable to continuing on the process.
Exactly. And honestly, I have had no set expectations. Like for me, it was, I want to get to a point where I don't have daily pain. And when I started not having daily pain or pain all day, I was like, okay, we've reached that milestone. Like, cool. What can I do tomorrow? What am I going to be able to do tomorrow, the next day, in a week, 2 weeks? And I'm like, I get excited because I don't have like I want to be at this point at this day. It's like each day I'm like, what am I going to do today? Am I going to like hit a new PR, post-surgery PR? Am I going to be able to run? Like, I mean, there's certain things like I hadn't been able to do. And it's like, maybe I can start jogging again, or maybe I can start just like, And there's no expectation because I can't get upset. It's like, if I can do it, that's freaking awesome. I'm amped up. Because like, what am I going to be able to do tomorrow? What am I going to be able to do in a year? If I keep on this trend of doing what I need to do and following what this program is telling me to do, who knows where I'll be in a year? But it's like, you can't always have a set expectation. You just need to go, you need to on the daily basis be like, all right, what is this? What's today going to give me? What am I going to be able to do tomorrow? Rather than, I didn't do this yesterday, or I sucked at this. Like, hey, tomorrow's a new day. There's always a new goal for the next day. And you shouldn't always be like, if I haven't lost weight by this point, unless that's like, you have to make weight for something, there should be no, oh, this is my end goal, or this is the day that this goal ends. It should be like, every day you should be trying to improve. And like every day you should have some form of a win. Don't, just look for like the positive. But that pretty much for me, it's like every day I look for a positive and I'm like, hey, I feel better than yesterday. That's what's up. Like I'm happy. So
what's your win today?
Ooh, my win today. What did I do today? Well, I did talk to the transition center today and I found out when I'd get my orders. So that was a win because I'm ready. I'm
ready
just
to
amped up.
chapter. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. And I took my GRE on Monday. I should get the final score soon. Crushed it though. So there's like little things. I woke up, I biked,
And that's why we have this segment at the end of the show called, stacking the wins, right? People can write in, tell us your wins. I want to talk about it. I want to acknowledge them because we need to do that in order to keep moving and keep trusting the process. So finally, Dee, to close out, right? You've hinted at it.
Mm-hmm.
How are you better than yesterday?
Because, let's see. So every day I try to set a goal, right? So whether you achieve the goal or not, I guess that would be a successful day for you. But honestly, like as I wake up and I try to give myself really no full expectation of how the day will go. Like as long as I end the day on a positive note and like with a smile on my face, for me, like I didn't have any pain today, which is fantastic. I went to physical therapy. I did some cool exercises. I had no pain, which is like, hell yeah. Because when you live almost a full year with just daily pain, those are the daily wins for me. I'm like, I can bend over and tie my shoes. I can do things that I couldn't do a year ago. And that for me is like every day is a win like that for me. I try not to be too negative. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Dee is better than yesterday because she lives a purpose-driven life, right? You find a way to find a smile, celebrate those wins, and just keep moving forward. Dee, where do people reach out to find you?
Yeah, so my Instagram is a little tricky because it's SweetD24, but there's 3 E's in sweet because that's who I am as a person. I made that Instagram back in like freshman year at West Point, so it's been rolling deep for 10 plus years. And then my Facebook is it's actually my first and middle name, so it's actually Deanna Lucia, which is weird, but yeah, find me at Sweet D. I'm also on Twitter at SweetD24. So what up?
All the platforms you can reach out to Dee. Dee, again, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for going into, that transition period and just not only embracing it, but just being so excited about it and sharing that with us. And of course, thanks for having our 6.
Yeah, of course. So happy to be here. Thank you.
I don't know what you've been told, Sixers, but the lawyers would like us to remind you that the views, opinions, and comments expressed on the Got Your 6 podcast are solely those of the hosts or guests, to include current and previous Department of Defense employees, and should in no way be considered the opinions of or endorsements on behalf of the Department of Defense or any of its components, divisions, contractors, or other current and previous staff members.